Just getting started or feeling stuck? Wherever you're at, the VO Dojo is here to help you take your voiceover career all the way. Get the training, support, and connection you need to guide you every step of the way. From I don't know to working pro. You get a rock-solid foundation and all the tools you need for your sustained, successful voiceover career. Mindset, skill set, and real-world experience, all in a hands-on, hearts-in, supportive community. Join us at thevodojo.com.
Hi everyone, welcome to the VO Dojo Ask the Sensei for February 2026. I'm Tish Hicks. I'm the Master Sensei of the VO Dojo, usually based in Burbank, California, but I happen to be in my hometown of Chicago. Starting a new trend of wintering in Chicago. Yeah, so that's good. So this is one of our free monthly offerings. The first Wednesday of every month, we're here with Ask the Sensei, and I invite one of my esteemed voiceover colleagues to come join and be here to answer your questions about what's going on in your voiceover world, whatever stage you're in, and how we can be here to help you. And we get extra super bonus with our guest sensei today, Kelli Tager, who not only is an extremely accomplished audiobook award-winning audiobook narrator and voiceover artist. Kelli is also a dojo alum and a nth degree member, so it's always kind of cool when those things align. So really great to have you here, Kelli. Kelsey B is here as our monitor. So in just a minute, I'm going to have Kelli introduce herself a little bit more, and then whatever questions you guys have. Well, first, if you can let us know where you're calling from, because that's always super excited here at the dojo. We are blessed to get to work with people all over the world, really all over the country and all over the world. And then if you have a question on whatever it is you might have a question on, please put it in the chat, and then Kelsey will call each of you into the room to answer questions. We'll take a little break to let you know how to keep in touch with everything. We've got some fun special things happening for February and Valentine's Day, and then we'll go to the top of the hour. And if you have to leave, that's totally cool. And if there's extra questions, Kelli, you said you have a little wiggle room. So if there's extra questions, overflow questions, we'll maybe be going to like 11:15. So that's the plan for today. So welcome, Kelli. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you did a Dojo 21 Questions interview, so
yeah, that was fun.
Maybe you guys got to take that in and hear a little bit about Kelli's origin story. If you didn't, we have the recording, so you can check it in. But tell us a little bit about you, Kel.
Hey guys, it's nice to be here. Thanks for coming. I'm Kelli Tager still. I'm from the tiny little town of Saratoga, California, in the Northern California. I was raised before it became the whole big .com Bay Area conglomerate that it is now. And I went to school in Southern California and pretty much stayed for the most part. I fled twice. I left the country to study over in England, or I studied theater over my junior year of college, and then went back for my master's in Shakespeare studies because I'm an official literary nerd. And then after doing some film and TV, I decided I was very burnt out with it, and I didn't really feel like I comfortably fit in either place. So I got married and procreated instead, and then but I really realized that wasn't enough for my life. And as much as I enjoyed those parts, I needed a creative outlet. But I wanted to do something fulfilling. And my husband finally went, why don't you just do voiceover that you really liked when that one time you did it? And I was like, holy shit, why don't I fucking just do voiceover? Excuse my language. I do swear a lot. It's part of my brand. It's and so I wound up doing a lot of voiceover, and about 2 years in, I fell into audiobooks. So not only do I regularly do voiceover, but my audiobooks just kind of took off running from the get-go. And so I've been doing that for, I guess, going on 7 years now. I've done about 160 to 170 books, I would say. I've won a couple awards, been nominated for a couple awards, which is always nice, but not necessarily. It's good validation to hear someone's actually listened to your book, but since you're, talking in a closet by yourself, basically. But yeah, and I do a lot of romance. I do a lot of other genres as well, but I know we're here mainly to talk about romance books, but I'm happy to answer questions about other things. I don't use a pseudonym for romance, which I know is usually a big thing that comes up for romance. Instead, I'm just very picky about what romance I do. And I actually have a reverse pseudonym that I use for middle grade books that I'm very transparent about. I use Kelli Garland after Judy Garland for any books for young listeners. So that way, if just a parent or kid Googles my name, they're not going to pull up books that are too old for them, or make their parents clutch their pearls. So yeah, I mean that's basically what I do now. So I'm full time. So and I have two daughters, 11 and 13. So I'm happy to talk about that whole work life insanity as well with this job.
Yeah, because 7 years in, that means if they're 13, then they were little kids. They were like four.
Yeah, I used
Yeah.
to actually take them to the studio a lot when I was recording auditions, voiceover auditions with I would, because I was, if you saw the 21 questions, I was too scared of technology when I first started voiceover the first year, and I just wanted to learn how to do the actual voiceover without the technology part. And so I would go to studios that I could just pay a little bit to, and they would coach me and actually record the audition for me. This is back before COVID. And my little ones would come with me. They'd say, bring the ducklings. And Anna got auditioned. My younger one got addicted to Ricola cough drops because that's what the treats were in the studios, was the cough drops, because it was voice
That's
studio. So
fun. Yeah, like I think um obviously your audiobooks and your specialty of romance audiobooks are things that we can talk about, but really this is open to questions about everything. You don't have to
yeah.
just have audiobook things. And then one thing that I would say, Kelly, you're like, oh, I just kind of fell into audiobooks. My observation was that you very specifically did really diligent, methodical steps to build your
Yes.
your voiceover and your audiobook career, and it took off. But
You're
and
right.
maybe that's what you were trying to articulate. It's the thing that's really taken off. But I don't think you fell into it. I think you were maybe like
My first
magnetized to it
my
because it was
first
so.
book was, I would say, I was just like, oh, this is happening now. Because I mean, I
Oh,
literally
I
threw up my
see.
commercial demo on ACX and was contacted 3 hours later by an
Ah,
author.
okay.
That was the
That's
start. So that's how I
got
went, oh, a
it.
book. And it took me 6 hours to do that 5 minute audition because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Um, and and now it has become, yes, in the last 7 years, it wasn't like, I don't know what happened. It's I now it has been methodical since then.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
now,
that
because it
that
was like
actually
crash learning. So yeah.
right. Got it,
Yeah.
got it. And that also is one of the things that I always say to anybody who's interested in audiobooks. And there's so many ways that you can go like, I am throwing I'm gonna try this audition. That you do have to be aware that you can get pregnant with an audiobook that you're
It's so true.
responsible for raising and doing everything about. Like you can't the first try, it doesn't matter. So
Which is
yeah.
why in the 7, I have gotten actually much pickier about what books I've done, and I've actually taken business classes specifically for audiobooks, run by a coach, Andy Arndt, who has also two daughters, and she's like, here are the mistakes that I made that I don't want you to make as well. And since I had taken her class, my time management has gotten much more better with
Mm.
work and life and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you started with the dojo and Mystery to Mastery, and
Yep.
then you worked with Ronnie Butler, who we do you should do voiceover.
Yeah.
Or
So
I'm
yeah, I
sorry, you
fell
should do
into,
audiobooks.
so I
Yeah.
would say I fell into it, and then Ronnie helped me dig the actual path. So
Right.
like
Oh, wow.
there you
Yeah,
go. How's
totally.
that for an analogy?
There
So
you
yeah.
go. There you
Yeah.
go.
Because
Yeah.
so I didn't get stuck in like ACX purgatory. I was actually able to build a career once I started with Ronnie
Yeah.
because Ronnie got me set on the right direction. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool, 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 cool. Well, I think we have a lovely crowd here.
Mm.
Why
Yes,
don't
Ronnie is
we
awesome.
see what questions we have? How are we doing in the question department, Kelsey?
Yeah, Evan, come on up.
Uh, Hello, Kelly. I am very happy to meet a fellow Shakespeare nerd.
Woohoo. Party on.
Um,
Huzzah.
my question is, because audiobooks are so long, how do you structure recording sessions to avoid burnout, both physically and like vocally?
Ah, excellent question.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like any sport. I mean, as Tish says, audiobooks is a marathon. It's the marathon of voiceover. Uh, I do usually 4 to 6 hours if I can. I need like a solid block. It's not something like a quick, like a commercial audition where you can just hop in and out of. Like you need to like kind of get into the mode and the flow of the story. So we can't like just pop in and do 30 minutes and pop out and go eat a sandwich. It's a much more kind of a hard focus through the day.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have auditions for other things, for voiceover, for audiobooks, then I'll do those before or after the session. And I'll do whatever my brain and my schedule allows that day. So it's usually about 4 to 6 hours. But I learned to take a break every 45 minutes to an hour. So I'll do something physical for 15 minutes, and that kind of like lets your brain relax again. And it's kind of so it's those are the sessions. Christina Rooney, who's a wonderful Tish knows, is a audiobook director. I think I listened to her in a webinar like this, and she said the human brain cannot focus for more than 45 minutes to an hour. And I went, oh, that's why I'm having issues recording after that long. And so I've learned to take and do something physical after 45 minutes, and then that helps. And then at the end of the day, I do, especially when I was starting out, I would do cool downs, which I was just talking to these guys about. If you blow through like a little coffee straw or something, you want to cool down your voice because especially when you're starting out, your muscles are not used to 4 to 6 hours of talking a day. At least mine weren't. So I make sure that you have to cool down your voice because your vocal cords are just like, what just happened? Especially if you're doing different accents, different,
Mm-hmm.
characters, all that stuff. That's stuff that your vocal cords are not going to be used to for that long of a duration. So, yeah, hope that answers that.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, of course.
Good, good, good. Awesome. What other questions?
All right, Joe is at his day job like a smart fellow and cannot go live, so I will be asking. I
Okay.
always encourage asking on the clock.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so his question is, what do you think about audiobook narrators that do live reads on social media like TikTok?
But they're brave. Um, you have to be careful. I've done it before on Instagram, because I don't do the tiki-talkie. Uh, s-
Mm.
I just don't have the bandwidth. Maybe someday. I have friends who do live reading on TikTok, and I think it's a great way, particularly to get indie authors because they're the ones usually on there. But I've also know of people that have gotten traction with producers because the authors have seen them narrate on there and they go, ooh, but and they go, I want that person to do my next book with Harper or whatever. So it can be a really wonderful thing. But again, it's the internet, so you have to be careful and you have to have a pretty thick skin when it comes to comments because you're not going to. And same thing as if you read your Audible reviews, like you need to be in a nice headspace in order to do that kind of stuff, and you need to have a level of confidence that I would not say starting out you should subject yourself to. Uh, I've done it for Instagram before, and I'll do it sometimes. I prefer to record a little snippet and then post it. But you also have to check to make sure, because if you are working with a publisher or a production house, they might have copyright issues with that. So if you're working with an indie author, you're probably fine to do that. But if you're working with another place, I had to check on this one, even though the author wanted me to do the live, I had to check because I wasn't working directly with her. I was working with the production house. And so I couldn't record the live. I could only do it live and then not keep the recording. So it was gone. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'll ask a question of you guys. Where?
Sorry, can I just answer for Joe real fast because he said
yeah,
with
yeah.
Audible, yes, they still will bring you into the studios. Audible will bring you into the studios. If you're in New York, and they just have opened up a thing in LA as well for Audible. I don't know if you can actually go in to the Audible studios in LA yet, but New York, and sometimes in LA if there's a studio around, and sometimes on books, I will fight to be in a studio because there's less distractions and it's much more efficient. And if you can get a director post COVID now, it's a dreamy situation to have. So yeah.
And Kelly,
Sorry.
would you recommend Ahab Joe submit over at Ahab Talent?
Oh yeah, Ahab is a platform run by Penguin Random House, but they've opened it up in the last couple of years to everybody, so everyone can use samples. So have two strong samples that are fiction and nonfiction, or two contrasting samples of things of two genres that you really that you feel like you're really strong for you. At least two samples. I've got like 13 on there or something stupid at this point. But and then in your about you and your special skills, make sure to list every freaking thing under the sun that you have knowledge about or are passionate about, because they want as much authenticity as possible when casting audiobooks as much as it's in VO now. So
Yeah. And Joe also asked, is ACX the only place to find work now? And I would say it is a place to find work, but it's a good thing to talk about because I think ACX is a way to get started in the business, or well, actually in audiobooks, in terms of running a business and making your living from this, there's certain strategies and ways that you can do it. But I guess Kelly, you said you fell into ACX and got your first opportunity.
yeah.
How would you speak to someone beginning on the journey or continuing on the journey? Because I think it's easy to come into a genre through one door and not necessarily know that there's other ways that you can get in or other places
Yeah.
that you can get to. So, yeah, well, how would you explain that? Like, I kind of said the first thing, like know
Yeah.
that you can get pregnant with a book,
Absolutely.
and
100%.
they and ACX
Sometimes with
requires
twins.
you
Yeah.
to
Oh, okay.
requires you to bathe, feed, change, like to do all the things to take care of that book.
Well,
So,
see, that's the thing. So, first of all, before you start audiobooks, get training. Um, Even if you are a trained actor, as I was, it's a different genre than regular voiceover. It's a whole there's narration as well as dialogue. Most of us start off who have training as like, I can do the dialogue, but you don't know what exactly to do with the stuff in between of the he said, she said, um, all that kind of stuff. Like, and that's very important when it comes to books because that's what makes the book. And it's telling a much longer form, obviously, than like a commercial or an animation audition. So you want to make sure you kind of know what you're doing in the get-go. So that's just the acting part. If you go on ACX, you're not just the actor, you are the narrator. You are also the producer because ACX is a platform for independent authors to find narrators to publish, to narrate and produce their books. So not only are you narrating the book, you're also responsible for proofing it, for editing it, for mastering it. Whether you do that yourself, which is a whole other hat, or you outsource it, which just means you're paying out of pocket for an engineer to do all and a proofer to do all that stuff for you and make it um, Audible standard so you meet ACX requirements in order to have it published produced through ACX. So it means you are responsible for all those things. So there's different tiers on ACX, and you could do this thing can be a whole class on ACX, but I'm not going to do that. But basically, you can do royalty share where you split the profits with that indie author, or you can do so they're paying you per finished hour. You can do it so it's royalty share plus, which is royalty share plus an extra like supplement in order to help you pay for those post-production engineering costs. So there's different levels. I will say also, especially it's become more and more prevalent. And my second book was this, a lot of scams on there. My second book, I was like, oh, I got one author who's legitimate. I can get another one. If it's too good to be true, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. There's a lot of people who are ripping off other authors trying to get their stuff on there just to get the profits if they don't have actual narration yet. So you have to be really careful right now with ACX and also especially with people stealing people's voices with AI. You want to make sure you have an AI writer like you have from Nava. Make sure you are protected. But those indie authors are also indie authors. They might not have necessarily been editing or proofing their own books. So you're going to also potentially get a lot of errors or maybe not the most well-written books. So you have to be very careful and know what you're getting into with ACX. You might have authors that flake just like they have narrators that flake. It goes both ways. So I would say ACX is a great place to cut your teeth on. But eventually you want to go into production companies and publishers who you just turn in the raw audio for and they make it all nice and pretty and they'll still have some books that are like maybe need some proofing or have some errors. I've got them even on like really good publishing companies, but it's going to be a lot less and the quality hopefully will sometimes be better. There are some wonderful indie writers. I'm not gonna diss into I've had some amazing indie authors, but now usually when I get an indie author that I like, if like I've actually brought indie authors to audio before, and I will either produce it myself, but I won't use ACX. For me, I like to use Spoken Realms. It's a company and they have a little bit more wiggle room and they have the AI protector already in their stuff. It's run by a narrator who I know and respect. And they won't do just Audible, they'll do worldwide distribution. So you can get better royalties sometimes. And also they'll help promote it, which ACX won't. You are on your own. So if you're doing royalty share for ACX, then you hopefully will have an independent author who will promote the poop out of your book, and you better know how to promote the poop out of your book as well. But there are also some lovely production companies out there, especially for romance, that you can really cut your teeth on. Like I started with Pink Flamingo Productions, who kind of created themselves around the time that I started. So I was one of the first people on their roster, and I brought them their first royalty share project. Yay! So I like to take stuff to them. I would take stuff to them, or I don't narrate as much through them because they're not SAG-AFTRA signatory anymore. So if you are non-union, they're a great place to be to kind of get your start on audiobooks, I would say. There's some lovely ladies who run it over there and really care about their narrators because they're authors and narrators as well. And there's a lot of other romance production houses out there as well.
Cool.
That was kind of a long, very long-winded answer. I
No,
hope
it's
I
good.
started
It's good. Hopefully, sometimes sometimes people are like, "Hey, can I take you out to coffee and pick your brains?" First of all, I
Oh yeah.
hate that. Hate that thing.
Like my
But
brain is already really
like,
sensitive. I don't
yeah,
know.
like that's what zombie ghouls do. So no, I
Yeah.
prefer that not. But I think it's very helpful. Like you're like, oh, like to just recognize how many layers there are to
It's a
learn
whole
this part
world,
of the sport. It's so
a whole new
so
world. Yeah.
we can tell you all of this stuff, but yeah, so it's good to hear it. But you can feel it like, whoa, that's a wash of stuff.
Yeah, I'm like talking,
So
going,
no,
sound
it's great. It's great,
like.
but that's why we bring the senseis here because this is this is stuff we know, and this is stuff. So I was just going to say, take a breath. You don't have to take this in the next 45
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
This is just like, hey, here's the thing, and you just heard you just heard someone speak Portuguese, and then
yeah.
go listen more. Just go hang out, and like it's okay. Yeah.
I remember my first week, the week I got that my first book, it was Labor Day weekend, and I remember I'm laboring over audiobooks for the first time in my life. I'll never forget that. And I remember it was felt like having a baby again. It was like this whole other world that I never had touched or needed to touch before, and all of a sudden you're learning all this new information, which now 7 years later I can barf out at
Mhm.
nauseum. And but at that point, it's baby steps and you're like one thing at a time. And but bottom line, first thing, training. Make sure that you know what the fuck you're doing once you get in the booth.
Yeah. Um, what's our next question, Kels?
Yes, so our next question is from Nicole, and she is so pretty, so smart, so pretty. So she is also at work. Um, Her question is, are good self-created samples sufficient, or do you need an audiobook specific demo, like for Ahab talent?
I mean, you want to have it as an excerpt from a book. Don't do a famous book. If we start talking about Mr. Potter, and it's going to take us out of it. Uh, but you can also take a lot of liberties. So, like I just did a sample with a coaching student of mine where we used two very different parts of the same book and we just changed the names for the second part. So it didn't look like it was from the same book. You'd never know from the way that the book, because she's such a strong writer and she's actually an author I had brought to audio because I was like, I love you. I love your writing. And why aren't you on audio? And I want to do it. Uh, and so we used two very different samples from the same book. So, and you can cultivate, you can cut, you can add. You're not married to the text like you would be if you were doing the whole book. And yes, eventually, hopefully, you'll start supplementing those samples with actual samples from books that you've done. But if you feel like something is missing that you can do that has not been in a book yet, that you haven't narrated, then you absolutely want to supplement that with something that you feel is strong.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
think also there's an art form to recognizing what makes a good sample, right?
yes.
So there's a sample in different genres. There's a sample with different points of view. Is it first person, second person, third person? There's a sample of you doing a dialogue. There's different things
Yeah.
that samples show off, and then there's sculpting, creating a beginning, middle, and end, and making me want to turn the page. So there's things and
Leave them wanting
nuances.
more.
So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like a commercial demo where we really want it to be produced so it sounds like something on the air currently. There's
Yeah.
not necessarily those production concerns, but understanding what makes a good sample, what is a compelling sample, what is a compelling sample for your voice, and then how do you show a range of understanding that you
Yeah.
can handle some fundamental um, some fundamental differentiation within audiobooks, if that makes sense. So I don't think you have to, you can make your own. It's good to know what you're making, right?
And I've had some samples I can do by myself, and I've also been had people hired people to direct me on certain on samples. It's one thing I'm really good at is samples. I'm not good at everything. I have the audio memory of a small monkey. I'm terrible if there's like a word that I don't know in a book, I have to hear it every fucking time before I say it. It's terrible. Um, which was really great for historical fiction. I'm like, but I love doing historical fiction. But there's some words I'm like, I knew how to say that 5 minutes ago, and I don't remember again. But one thing I can do really well is samples. I know the arc because I have a writing background. Uh, is that, and if I've had people come to me with like, please, I love this scene, but I don't know how to make this into a sample. How do you cut this into like 3 to 5 minutes? And I will cut the shit out of it and make it into a sample for them. And I think for romance specifically, if you are interested in doing heterosexual romance, or then you want to make sure to have a sample with male and female dialogue. Uh, if for romance specifically, you want to do something that's hopefully more rom-commy, more like first meeting with that flirty element in it, maybe something more with an emotional impact or like a high comedic moment. So depending on what you feel like your strengths are, I would say if we're going back to the whole romance thing. So yeah.
Speaking of romance, that might be a good segue to talk about what's coming up at the dojo this month. You guys are the first to hear about a fun thing that we're doing for Valentine's Day special. Um, so Kelsey, do you want to share what we're doing?
Yes, so this Valentine's Day season, we are having a You Should Do Voiceover raffle for an upcoming spot in our You Should Do Voiceover course.
The raffle ends on 2/14. So on Valentine's, we'll be choosing who wins the raffle, and this is our foundational class. We have a big chunk that in the narration section of the overview, we do go into a lot of audiobook stuff. So it's a great place to get a sense of the whole thing. And it's called the Launchpad and Workout because it's where everybody begins. So even if you're on your journey, we begin everybody there. So um, yeah. Oh, no, you should not apply if you've already done lunch, but if you're in the program, this, I guess we should say for new people, for new people. But if you are in the program, the other thing that we're doing for Valentine's is our Spread the Love campaign. So if you know somebody who wants to do voiceover, or you'd recommend joining us at the dojo, exploring at the dojo, for every person that you refer who signs up for a course at the dojo, you get $100 of dojo credit. And then also the person, I think this is where the 228 thing comes in, right, Kels? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this is, the person who refers to most people by the end of the month will get a 1 hour private coaching avec moi, with me.
That's good.
Spread the word, spread the love. Come, put your name in the raffle. Tell people about the raffle. I think that's what we want to share. And then Kelly, how do people keep in touch with you? And
You can message me through Instagram if you want. It's at Tager Away, or you can shoot me an email, which is also tageraway at gmail.com. Uh, I will warn you, I am stupid busy this week. So I just got a drop-in book. So drop-in means like last minute, like they offered it to me yesterday and it's due on Monday, and it's a historical fiction for 9 hours. I'm like, you guys, I'm like, that's crazy. So
wait,
working it out right now.
you have to do a 9 hour book before Monday?
Um, that's sorry, my earpiece just went up. Technically, but there's wiggle room.
Or?
Yeah, technically, and that's one that I did. He's working on a couple things to hopefully make it easier and with the deadline. So we'll see. It's in flux right now. So yeah.
Right. Because I mean, I go because that's 9 hours, but usually in audiobooks, if you're doing a 2 to 1 ratio of per finished hour, if you're doing two to
Yeah.
one, you're a rock and rolling. So as a Kelly can go like, okay, I can do that in about 18 hours over the next however
It'll be
many
about four
hours.
days. It's about 4 days of
Yeah, so
recording.
then
Yeah.
then you have to figure out that, yeah.
You have to
Yeah,
like
so I'm
read
like,
it and stuff first. And yeah, yeah. And I also
yeah.
already have a book due Tuesday. It's a whole thing. But yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, welcome to the
We're
actual
working it out. That's
yeah,
a yeah.
yeah. Um
Who needs sleep?
yeah.
So yeah.
And let's see. Also, if you're interested in anything about the dojo, highly recommend you sign up for a voiceover once over call with one of our pathfinders. I don't think Anderson's with us today, but Anderson Stinson III is a dojo member and our pathfinder. So if you're interested in finding out more about the dojo, what the whole thing is about here, we would love to get to know you and hear where you're at and where you'd like to be. So, did we miss anything, Kels? We try to do
One
this in the
last
middle before.
thing.
Yeah.
We have our Get to Know VO coming up with Stephen Gord, all
Yes.
about the playbook for sports voiceover. He's gonna walk
Oh,
you through kind of his process with sports. He's done promo for NBA, NFL. He's really big in that world. So if you're interested in sports voiceover promo, um, definitely join us on 218 to hang out and get to ask him questions about his career.
Yeah.
And then also, I will post our upcoming fight clubs in the chat. But we have animation with Brenna Larson, um, who has done a lot of Rainbow High, LOL Surprise. We have anime with Lisa Ortiz, who is the voice of Amy Rose in Sonic. She also does work with Disney, Sci-Fi, Cartoon Network. And then we also have commercials with Lisa Fishoff, who is part of Broadcasters LLC. She's done casting for tons of different companies. So yeah, come
She's
join
one of the
us.
top casting, top and like old school, like well established, one of the top casting directors in New York market. She's
mm.
pretty amazing. Yeah. Good. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff of how to keep in touch. We like to do it while everybody's here in the middle. Um,
And can we get a
what
picture?
Oh,
Oh,
sure. Would everyone like to share their faces in addition to their lovely names? And then, yeah, I think we've got some other questions. And again, if you have questions about
Bram.
anything, like what is something today that if you asked the question and had the answer today would allow you to move forward with your voiceover career? Like what would be a question that you could ask us here today that tomorrow you'd be on your way? That's an interesting way to
Mm.
to look at this opportunity. So, all right, it looks like we have some beautiful voiceover faces. Okay,
Ready? Three, two, one. Romantasy.
I've done one romantasy. It was very fun and very cathartic. That's
I think we missed someone, so let me do that again. Three, two, one. Audiobooks.
Yay.
Yay.
Cool, 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 cool. Well, we got some time to catch
yeah.
flip
On the
the
questions. It's
questions.
all good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Who's
we have
next,
plenty of
Kels?
questions, so let's keep it rolling. Fabian, come on up, friend.
Fabian.
Going on?
Hey, we see the
Hi.
top of the world, but
Yeah.
you are under the top of the world there. I see
What's going on, Sensei?
Yeah. You own the world. I like it.
Hey, Kelly. Good hearing from you. I've done some children's audiobooks, but I know you've
Oh,
done both.
nice.
So how do you pivot between the genres? Like when you're trying to switch a genre, as far as you've established yourself in one, how do you make the pivot to another?
I make sure I have good samples
Okay.
in the other.
All right.
And the nice thing is I don't, when I first started, I was doing mainly romance and I actually panicked because I got Don't do what I did. Don't say, yeah, I can do a British accent, no problem. And so take on two different series, one with 7 books and one with 4 books when you're doing first person British the entire time.
Jeez.
So I've done over a dozen books in first person British, and then in the romance genre, and I panicked because I didn't. I love romance. Obviously, I'm here, but and I love doing romance because it feels like slipping into a warm bath. I'm just like, okay, this is my happy place. Like there's certain things I don't have to worry about with romance that you do in other genres. And it feels very good. But I didn't want to just do romance because I call myself a genre slut. So I actually emailed Dan Zitt, who's the head of PRH, and said, I just did these, I'm doing these 2 series. Is this going to kill me for all other genres and no one's going to look at me? Because I'm so used to like on camera and theater where you get typecast. And he said, absolutely not.
Okay.
And so the head of Penguin Random House said that you will not get typecast. I will say middle grade can be harder to, at least for me, if you don't, because I'm more of a lower alto female.
Sure. Yeah.
It's harder for me to break into middle grade, and it's definitely a different energy. But but as long as you're playing the authenticity of the story, the genre is just going to follow. You don't play genre.
Understood.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Fabian is another dojo member, dojo black belt
Dojo.
degree member, and was one of the I love these statistics. So he did the Penguin Random House mentor program.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think
Oh, so you know
there's
Dan.
like
Okay.
thousands of people apply. 19 people are chosen. And I think the year that you were there, Fabian, 3 people were dojo people out of
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
was 2024. It
Yeah,
was
that
me,
after
Eli,
you'd
and
done.
Christina.
I won't say which one, but I coached a student who was doing the for her last producers when you read in front of all the
Right,
producers.
right, yeah.
She was freaking out because the producer was trying to get her to read one thing and she wanted to read
Sure.
another thing. So I listened to her and I was like, do that one. And that was the one her instinct was, and it went over so well, and I was so happy for her. And I was
Oh,
so proud
yeah,
of her.
that's
So yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, it always goes over
yeah.
well with that
And she's
one.
doing
Yeah,
so well now, and I'm like, yeah.
that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Thank
Great
you.
to see you, Fabian.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice
yeah.
to
And
see you.
yeah, I mean, Ahab, that's a wonderful, and just make sure you keep in touch with those guys. Like every 3 months,
I
bug
will.
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good to see you too, Sensei.
What other questions do we have, girls?
James Brown, if you can come up. If not, I can read it for you.
There's James. Nice to
Hello,
him.
hello.
Hey.
I have done a couple of romantasy books in the UK with a couple of female authors there. But I do know that they seem to be quite popular in the US particularly, and thank God you seem to like the British accent. Good for you.
Oh
I was
yes,
gonna say
they'll
you
eat it
can
up
be
with
first
with
person
a
British for a long
with
time.
a spoon. They'll eat that accent up. Absolutely,
Yeah.
freaking yeah.
So I'm just looking at potentially places to have a look for or apply to or get in touch with and schmooze with, really.
Yeah, fair. Do you have demos?
I have no, actually, I've got samples, but I haven't got like pro audiobook demos done yet. But I should put something together.
Yes. Before you do that, and then you reach out. So some of the ones off the top of my head, I can tell you is Pink Flamingo is one. High Gravity is another. Podium Audio, Lyric Audio. Those are all romance. Or mainly romance, but they do some thrillers and whatnot as well. I mean, and then if you go on Ahab, you absolutely want to set up a profile. That's kind of one of the biggest places for. And then there's going to be tons of other places. Do you know who Chris Tester is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, hit him up.
Yeah.
I just worked with him on that romantasy, and he's
Yeah.
been really like, and he's been taken off like crazy with. With
Is he
a lot of stuff.
Is he a narrator? Is he a producer?
He's a really strong in VO over in the UK, and he's just started in on audiobooks and it's been really successful. So, yeah, I would absolutely have Chris pick his brain. So,
No, he's a friend of mine. So,
oh, brilliant! Yeah,
yeah, we'll do.
Tell him I say hi and hit him up. Yeah,
Kelly says hi. Fabulous. Thank you very much.
Good. It sounds like
tell him
you're
it was
very
lovely to have book sex with him. It was great.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got a lot in alignment, James. Like you're on the right path.
Yeah. Just
but yeah.
Hopefully so.
make sure those demos are strong.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And if you can do like, especially if you're going to hit the U.S. market, see if you can do an American accent, just to a passable American accent. It'd be good to have one demo.
Possible, yes.
Just for like, not first person, but for like adjacent characters
supplementary
or like
character. Yes. Sure,
yeah, exactly.
No problem. Yeah, sure thing. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Excellent. What are the questions?
Casey Long.
That's a good question.
Oh, you. No.
Hi there.
Hi. We're old friends.
So I just had a question about accents. I was wondering, like, how good should you be at an accent before you like list it as your skills? Like, I keep coming across like, oh, I can do a Southern accent, but someone says, oh, can you do a Missouri accent? And it's like, oh, okay, I don't know about Missouri specifically.
Then
yeah, that's the
I've
first
heard
question.
put general Southern.
Just put general Southern.
General Southern.
So then when I come across stuff like Missouri accent, is there like online places to go where I could like quickly like maybe learn about what a Missouri accent would be? Or
Yeah, there's the Tube of You.
the tube of you?
Yeah, a lot of times people will Google if you look at YouTube and look at newscasters, or or if you're looking for international accents, if you listen to like a diplomat from that area, that'll give you a nice light accent usually because they're pretty good with English. Most accents that are not like American, that they're going to want a very light touch. Like I did a rom-com that was set on a cruise, and we literally had 20 accents, I think, that we actually had to sign off. They had to approve before we did the actual book. Because it was American woman and an English guy, and even like I was doing 2 RP for the main guy. They're like, no, do more estuary. I was like, cool. Like, I mean, you have to. There's a certain level. Most books you're going to get like a passable, but like I had to do like Bahamian and Puerto Rican. They were like light, because I went to Ronnie Butler for the Bahamian, and they're like, okay, here, if you want to take it this far, then you can go here, but otherwise, if it's light, then go here. And it was like a soupçon of Bahamian by the time I was done. But most accents, you want to be able to do them at least, sometimes you can actually say for supplementary characters, you could say, I'm strong enough for these. For side characters, these I'm strong enough for first person narration. So,
all right, great.
Yeah, Joe R put a fantastic resource. She said from Chicago. It's a fantastic resource, you guys. But International Dialects of English Archive, that has literally all around the world, and then within each continent, it differentiates, and there's samples of real people speaking a passage, and then speaking in different age ranges. So if you just need to like tune in.
And I will say, just to add to that is a fantastic resource. And I couldn't remember the name of it, so I didn't mention it. But I was like, it's the index thing with the globe, which I didn't think. But they do all the same sentence first to get like all the vowels. But it's really helpful if you listen to the end after they've read the same standard text when they're just talking about their life. That's actually a little bit more, because they're a little more relaxed, a little less self-conscious about how they're actually talking. Just a pro tip on that. And
then Kelsey shared the referral of the coach that you work with, Kelly, if you want to share that too.
Yeah, PJ Oakland is Dr. Dialect, he calls himself too. He has been saved my ass on many occasions. So if it's an accent that you really want to learn, that you need to know, like I've been doing this Scottish romance series, Sarah Kate, that's releasing the second one next week. But half the stuff I was doing was Scottish. And so I had to pull up my recording of my session with him because I was doing it with a British guy whose half his family was from Scotland, and I was like, "Fuck you! I have to work harder now," because I was not going to be the worst person in that. And luckily, my Scottish has gotten a lot better because of that series, and I'm much more confident in it. But my God, it was the longest recording session of my life. So, yeah.
Yay.
All
Well,
right, thank you.
what are the questions? What other questions do we have? Anything? If I asked you that question of what's a question that would move your where are you stuck? What's a question that if you had the answer to it would move you forward?
Joe, I like your question about do you think it's a good idea to produce your own audiobooks for Amazon/Audible using public domain books?
Oh.
Yes, I've done that. So I wouldn't, as again, I think you have to be very specific about the public domain books because you're not making any money on the front end. Make sure it's a book that doesn't have like 60,000 versions. If you're going to do Alice in Wonderland, you might want to rethink that. Make sure it's a book that's good for your voice. When I did Ellen Montgomery's The Blue Castle, the year that it became available in public domain, I was made sure I was one of the first versions out there. I made sure that I actually paid money to make sure that my cover was eye-catching and marketable. I listened to like the one or two versions that they already had on Audible, and I said, can I, with my style of narration, can I bring something different to this story that's already out there? And I went, yeah, I can. For this one, I can. And I have made money on that one, more than I have on any other royalty shares. So I would say it's actually a wonderful thing to do. I would not do it for if you wanted to do it for your first project, because you don't have any typos or errors, and you're doing good text. Awesome. You're not dealing with any authors who are alive, so it's not a bad thing to do. I would, if it's something that's like a book that you're thinking of that's like a real passion project, I would wait until you are really feeling confident with your narration, depending on where you're at in your career. Because you might look back in 5 years when you've gotten a lot more better and go, oh, I wish I'd done that now as opposed to then. But if it's something that you're really just trying to cut your teeth on, then go for it. But just know that you will be producing it, just like on ACX. You will be responsible for all the engineering, post, etc. Yeah, I've got couple other royalty share, public domains that I have that I'm thinking of right now. But I need to research more of what other versions are out there to see if mine will add or just clog up the pipeline on it. So I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Joe's got another question. Joe, thank God you're here.
My favorite DAW. My favorite DAW is the only one that I feel like I can use function because I am not a technical human. So I use Twisted Wave. That for me, I tried using Reaper and I almost cried because there was one day that Twisted Wave like had some issues and it shut down, and I went, this is too many colors on Reaper. Twisted Wave, it has its issues, but overall, it works fine. So, yeah.
And you do punch and roll on Twisted Wave?
I do punch and roll, yeah.
Punch and roll, yeah. Good.
Punch and roll.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'll ask questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
So, Kelly, I was wondering, how long did it take you to like set boundaries with what you weren't willing to record? And then how did you set your rates?
Two excellent questions. With boundaries on romance, there's a lot of romance genres out there, and it took me a long time to articulate it. But basically, I don't like narrating romance. I want to put that in a positive frame. I only want to do romance that I connect to emotionally. If I don't feel like I'm going to do justice to the author's stories, I don't want to be the one who narrates it. I won't do it just for the money. If that means I have a blank spot in my schedule because of it, so be it. I could fill up my schedule. I could fill it up with erotica. I could fill it up with other genres, with other things that I don't necessarily want, that I would just be phoning in, and I don't want to do that to myself because that's not why I'm in this business.
Mm.
For me, it took me a long time to articulate it, but basically how I can articulate what I want to do for romance now and how I can make producers understand what romance I want to do. And 99% of the time this works. I say I don't want to narrate any relationship that I wouldn't want my daughters in.
That's an interesting.
It needs to be a healthy relationship. I don't care if it's spicy. I don't want to hear about it if it's my kids, but I don't care if the romance is spicy. I don't care if it's if they have emotional baggage, because we all have trauma, and I actually love doing it's one of the reasons I love doing romance is the emotional baggage. And I especially love it when there's emotional baggage and humor. I'm like, that's my happy place right there. But do I want my kid dating someone in the mafia? No. Do I want them dating someone in a motorcycle club? Absolutely not. Would I want them introduced? Do I want them to introduce me to their 6 boyfriends? No. So for me, like, that's where my boundaries are. Everyone's going to be different. And in romance, we don't judge anybody for what there's some people who are like, I will do all the things. I'm like, awesome. There's some people that even, I know some very prolific narrators who have a pseudonym just for erotica. And there are some people, and whether you use a pseudonym is a whole other question. But yes, that's where my boundary is for romance.
How can you tell when you're looking at a project or get a proposal comes to, like, is there a spicyometer? Like,
if that's a good question. So if you're working for a production company or for a publisher, they will disclose those things up front. Podium especially is wonderful at that.
Like, you'll get a passage, or they'll say
they will say
dirty.
Here are the content warnings. So you also need to know when you're thinking about if you have any triggers, if you are not comfortable narrating sexual assault or non-consensual relationships, or there's so many different genres and subgenres in romance. You need to know what you're comfortable narrating. I will say the first spicy scene, I guess you could call it spicy, the first sexual scene that I ever narrated, which I think is an interesting story, was in the very first book I did. But it was a non-consensual scene. It was a husband assaulting his wife when she had said no, which actually, for me as a narrator, being my first scene doing that, actually worked really well, because I was so uncomfortable and she was so uncomfortable that by the time I got to when she was in a healthy relationship, I went, oh, this is lovely, because I'd already had a really awful scene, and that was my first ever scene with that kind of. So you need to know because you are going to be invested in those characters. So you need to know where your boundaries are and where your limits are. And I have turned down many books because of that, but I also know that they have come back to me with books that I want. And so don't be afraid of saying no. This is the kind of, and say, these are the kind of books I want to do, not the. So.
And if the book is called Slave Girl of Gore, GOR,
yes.
Don't be so excited because it was the first book that working with the producer that you really wanted, that you're like, yeah, I'll take, because you know what the Slave Girl of Gore is about? The Slave Girl of Gore. So I had to do so many rationalizations of like, well, it was written in the 50s. Oh, no, it was written in the 70s. Well, I mean, think about what was going on in the 70s, like men's, and then I just got to like take a drink when she says yes, master, and get done with it. But those are things, and I don't do those things anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but it can be lucrative if it's in your flow, right? Like it.
Absolutely. There's people who will do everything, and God, I mean, hats off to them. I think it's wonderful. And because there's an audience for all that. There's a writer who's written that stuff, so there's clearly an audience for it. But you just need to know when you have a limit, because you don't want to be stuck. You don't want to be. I had a friend who was going through a very difficult time because the book was too personal for her at that point. And so she had to take some serious emotional breaks doing that book.
Yeah, yeah.
So just be very conscious of who you are as a person and what books are going to work with who you are.
Yeah. And
Um,
that's not only about sexual content or sensual
oh
content.
yeah,
That's about everything. So yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I, there was
okay.
another part of that question, Kelsey. What was the other thing that
How
you
do you
Yes,
set
said?
your
how do you
rates?
set your rates?
Oh, carefully. Um, I mean, when you're starting out, most production houses will set it. Will kind of get there's a base SAG rate. I think it's oh crap, what is it nowadays? It's 220 something maybe
I think that seems right. It used to be
for
176 for like the first 6 books or something like that, but I think it's
but
gone.
that's for raw audio. So
Oh,
if you're doing like ACX and you're producing, you want to make sure that you add those
oh.
production costs onto your fee. And then the
Hmm.
more established you get, the more you can kind of nudge that rate up. So there you go. Is that clear enough in a very vague way?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the thing that's really important. Oh, before I answer this question, if you guys need to roll because it's the top of the hour,
Oh,
thank you so much for being here. We'll be going on for another 15 minutes or so to answer the questions we can. So if you have to leave, thank you so much for being here. Enter the raffle, share the love, and come back on the 18th for Get to Know VO. And this happens every first Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to just jot it down in your calendar, and if you can't make it, you can listen to it later as a podcast. So thanks so much for being here. And if you're staying, I'll answer that other question. I think the thing about audiobook rates is that you have to understand how you get paid is per finished hour. So that means whatever it takes you to finish that hour
mhm.
is what, because you're like, whoa, $250, shake it up. I could be a lawyer, right? But then you have to recognize that even if you're just narrating, you have to you have to read the material to prepare it. You need to annotate it. You need to
Sometimes you need to
schedule.
learn an accent or
Sometimes
look
you
up
need to
words.
learn an accent. Sometimes you need to do the research. Sometimes you definitely need to figure out like, how long will it take you? Like, what is your, like, how many words per minute can you on average finish? What is the complexity of the content? Right, like I did an entrepreneur's biography, and I didn't have to look up a bunch of stuff. She was from Canada. It was pretty straightforward. I was
Hmm.
it was not even 2 to 1 because it was so like straightforward. But if it
Hmm.
was something complex or had a lot of ideas or things that you have to look at, so there's and then that's just the narration part. Because and then you also have to figure out that if you make any mistakes, then there's pickups that you have to kind of figure out. And then if you're responsible for not only doing that, but recording everything and then editing everything and then making sure everything sounds right and like mastering everything, like $250, my
That winds up
screenwriter,
being at
my
least 5 to 6 hours of work per hour, per finished
yeah,
hour.
exactly. So then, as my screenwriter husband said, after his first film, we paid everybody and got paid as much as a Taco Bell manager. So, so you need to kind of know what work goes
Hmm.
into it.
And that's kind of one of the perks of romance is usually it's a lot less research. Usually
Mhm.
there's a lot more I mean, along with some of the perks of like, you're going to get a happy ever after, which is nice. Maybe some emotional release.
Mhm.
It's usually it's a lot less work on that, and especially if you already know the accents, if there are any. So yeah,
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
say. for that.
Oh. Do you
Versus,
have
sorry,
oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say my worst book in that instance was it was a wonderful book, but they knew it was a huge drop in, as in like last minute they scrambled to find a narrator, and they warned me it was going to be tight. I had literally a week to do it. I was cast the day that technically the recording window started. So it took me 2 days to read it. And it was a woman whose family was, her father was a diplomat. So they started the entire book in Azerbaijan. And there were a lot of places in Azerbaijan that I needed to pronounce that were also Russian, with some very different languages that I was not used to. And then her family moved to Greece, and she rolled out the Greek dialogue and the different Greek pronunciations. And then she went to Texas. And of course, that was the city I got wrong, because I thought that was the straightforward city. And then they went back to Azerbaijan at the end just to mess with me. And then you had to do this also actual narration on top. And then I remember I was stupid enough to look at my Audible reviews, and she was like, and I had one reviewer who was like, well, she got most of the words right. I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. I was like, and I hired a prepper for that one. I had someone prep it because there were so many pronunciations, and I out of pocket. And there were some that I was asking my sister, who travels the world, and she didn't know some of those words. I was going to Google Translate for a couple things because there were no resources on some of the stuff that was really obscure. So, and the author was not able to help. So you do what you can, and that's all you can do, and still make a good story. So, like,
Yeah.
luckily I did not have to do the mastering. I was just raw audio for that one. And they were very sweet. I had like 400 pickups, and they were like, but everyone was very impressed with the time window that you did it in. And so they were very forgiving on the fact that I would say chapter 1 instead of chapter 3. So yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions, Kelsey?
Yeah, we've
Time
got
for
one
more.
last question from Caitlin Meyer. I don't know if you want to come up and ask, or if you would like me to ask.
I think she said that she's busy,
asked,
like
yes,
it's
yes.
busy at her house.
How did you figure out your voiceover brand?
Oh, that's a great question. It's a whole other Oprah, but yes. Well, I will say one thing. The more true to myself that I've been, the better my work has been. The more books that are a better fit for me happen. I get offered. The more self-aware I am, the more I say, well, I embrace who I am. That has been how I've developed my brand. It started by I know they work with the dojo a lot. Next Level Demos with Brittany and Ryan. They did my first, or they did my like second or third commercial demo, and Brittany said to me, when I came in, because it was pre-COVID, so I recorded it before in their place, and she said, "Wow, you're just a wry ray of sunshine." I went, I am. I am a wry ray of sunshine. That's exactly what I am. And I developed it. That became my brand. And when Parker did my website, he goes, I see sunflowers for you. I'm like, oh my God, it's my favorite flower. So it's kind of developed over time. And like I've done Jonathan Tilley's class, which has helped. I also watched or read I talk for a living. Celia Siegel's book on branding as well, who's, the guru of branding. And so with all of those utensils, plus knowing who I am, I've just kind of honed and honed and honed, and it's kind of evolved. I even just added something yesterday to my website going, oh, I should really add this element about me in, because I got told at a mixer that Casey was with me a couple weeks ago for Podium that how real I was. And I went, I don't think I have snark on my website, but I don't have anything about being real. So I actually added the word authentic to the description of how my tone is. Because I think there's a lot of cool, smooth tones. I'm not. I'm I'm very raw and real, and that's going to either get me cast quickly or definitely out of the pile, because I have a specific tone. And the more books you do, the more that you develop who you are as a narrator and the more you know your style, the more you're just going to be able to figure out that brand. So like if you have a starting basis for like kind of knowing your elements, great, but then just know that it will evolve and you will get more and more specific.
Yeah.
And the more you know what books, kind of books you like, that will also maybe potentially shape. If you wind up being a thriller, you might have you're not going to have sunshine and flowers and rainbows all over your website probably. So,
Mhm.
unless they're dripping with blood. So,
Yeah. And I think the more that the more that you start understanding what is the audiobook world, obviously having some affinity to literature, since it's our responsibility to bring the literature to life. If you don't like books, maybe this isn't for
just
you.
not for you, no.
But if you do love books, then it's like this huge
Yeah.
responsibility. And then within you if you're a listener of audiobooks, and I think if you're interested in it, you should be a listener of audiobooks, because you'll notice that different narrators have their own style
Yeah.
that,
And that,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry. And I will say, because it took me a long time to come to peace with this, I actually am not an audiobook listener for fun because I'm a visual person. I learn better. I see things visually. So for me, audiobooks, I have to extra concentrate on just like everybody else. When I'm reading making an audiobook, it's different because I'm reading. I'm doing something visual and I'm seeing it in my head as
Mm.
I'm going. So for me, audiobooks are educational. Like I only listen to them to learn. So don't feel bad if you're a visual person like me. Um,
Mm. Mhm.
and I'm glad I can provide this for the people who are more audio-based learners and more who receive things better audio wise. Um, but if you're a visual or kinesthetic learner like me, then you still need to listen, but you're going to have to make more of an effort to do that and be more specific with what books you're going to spend your time on listening
Mhm.
and what narrators you want to emanate that you feel that you identify with, who you don't identify with, whose career you want to have, or like look at the kind of books that you have that you like, and look who narrates those books.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
What else are you gonna?
we're at
Yeah.
1:15. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, this has been fantastic. We ended up being a kind of a deep dive into the audiobook pond here. So I hope it was
Yeah.
illuminating and you have lots of things to think about and continue to explore. Please keep in touch with Kelly, follow her. I
Yeah.
think you do a
But
really
don't
good
expect an
job.
answer for like a week,
No,
please,
no, no,
because
no, no,
I'm
no,
just saying, like, I
no,
want to talk
no
to you all, but
answers.
then like,
No answers required, but I think you're also really someone who does a really nice job of sharing the work you're doing in a really authentic and fun and diligent way. So that's another layer that you can look at Kelly as someone who's a
yeah.
successful person in this realm. So
Well, I mean, I was telling one of my coaching students the other day, like, for me, paying it forward and education has always been a part of acting for me because I've taught children's theater and acting and for as long as pretty much I've been doing it since I was 14. So it's always just been part of who I am, and so I love the educational element, and I always love giving back to the community and helping pay it forward for the people who've helped me out. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm always happy.
And if audiobooks have sparked you, if you're like, oh, I want to do this, let us know that you're interested, because Ronnie Butler does
Ronnie's
you should do audiobooks once or twice a year. So
highly recommend it.
if we
Shut up.
have, if we have 8 people who are ready to roll, we can check what Ronnie's schedule is. We usually definitely do one in the summer, but if you want to jump in right now, um, he has launched a lot of really brilliant audiobook careers, because he's so good. He's so good as what he does as a narrator. I think he's up for
He's
Best
up for an
History.
Audie. Yes,
He's
he
up for an
is.
Audie
For
in a really
biography. Yes, he
important
is.
biography book that about Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, So, and then he's just an extraordinary educator as well. Like he just explains it really, really clearly. So,
I don't know if you saw the thing of that last audiophile magazine of last year. It was like voices of best voices of 2025, and they had my picture next to Ronnie, and
yay!
I it was the moment I almost cried. I mean, I think that was for me was the moment when I was like, I've made it because my picture is next to Ronnie Butler's, and like it still makes me teary. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Right. Well, Kelsey, thank you so much for keeping everything going and
yes. Thank you, Kelsey.
flowing. Great to have you here. We're here every first Wednesday of every month and third Wednesday of every month. Always free content. And if you're interested in working with the dojo in any way, shape, or form, we're always super excited to meet you and see how we can help you get to where you want to be in this wonderful world of voiceover. So thanks so much, guys. We will see you soon.